ladies and gentlemen. I just got finished choking. I walked in here, took a sip of water, and apparently I can't walk and take sips of water because I'll end up choking. That's a new one. So yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Probably not choking like I was just doing a moment ago. Okay, today we're listening to the band Grandaddy. Who's your granddad? Who's your grandpappy? Released 1997 debut studio album from the band. The album title, Under the Western Freeway. And the track we're taking a listen to is Collective Dreamwish of Upperclass Elegance. And you might say to yourself, what was that sound? Well, I forgot to turn my sound off. I usually do it when I walk in the room, but I was choking. I was in the midst of that. Collective Dreamwish of Upperclass Elegance. What a title. We are listening to this. It was suggested and sponsored by Andreas. Andreas, thank you so much for the recommendation, for the request. Let's go ahead and give it a listen. What is it going to sound like? Can't tell you. But there is one way to find out. Here we go. What do you think that sound is?
Count stars out
That was a cool track, and I don't know what I was expecting going into it, but I didn't. Well, I didn't know what I was gonna get when I opened it up. So, but what I got was a really cool track. This is like an indie folk track with some little bits of synth and such thrown under it. Has a really cool like western adjacent sound in the verse, but I like how it's undercut with that little bit of keyboard chord that's sustained underneath it all in that first verse. I like how that's just a little extra layer, and it's just a glimmer of it. It's just a shimmering light underneath the guitar and, of course, the vocals here. Which, as far as I can tell, and I could be 100% wrong, because I looked around trying to find who's playing what and everything. I see that Jason Little seems to be kind of the head of the band as the vocalist. Says he performs all instruments. But then I have Birch, Fairchild, Garcia, and Dryden all credited as performers. I don't know what their involvement is in the specifics, but they're all at least credited there. And I just think that the singing has like this very lazy, when you were a teenager and you had all the time in the world, you didn't have to worry about rushing to work, and it's summer break, so you didn't have to worry about rushing to school, and you could lay in the grass with your friends around you, or you could just be hanging out at the gas station or wherever teenagers hung out at, and you could just go there, waste the day away, and just soak in the day. That's the feeling that I get in this track. Lyrically, I'm not feeling nostalgia, but I'm getting kind of that idea of just idle hands and making the most out of the time you have with the friends around you. That's the feeling that I get when I'm listening to this. But I really like the way that he sings. There's a little bit of a squeaky, creaky moan that he kind of adds into the end of each of the lines there, or each of the stanzas when he's singing. It kind of moans a little bit in there, which I thought was kind of funny. And then while I don't see that it was specifically this instrument, you have that melody that eventually comes out that it's just a intimately played guitar, just picked, bum 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 bum. Just it's slower than that, but it really does to me kind of hit that same melodic cadence as a Japanese koto. So I don't think that it is a koto being played there, but it's played in a very similar fashion and giving it a similar treatment. In the beginning, you kind of get an idea of some of those electronic elements that are brought in a very light way. With that, first of all, that that's swirling, sucking kind of sound that's happening in the beginning here. Like this, while the bass sets everything up with the pattern. And then it flows into the verse. And like I said, just has that deep keyboard sound underneath the guitar, which is really nice. And then you get those two separate melodies that eventually make themselves known. There's that plucked instrument, and then that nice distorted guitar that adds a deep crunch into it. And I like how that heaviness is in a nice contrast with the sweetness of that plucked melody. It just works really well in making this whole thing very interesting and not so predictable. And yet, once you hear those two specific melodies that come in after the verse, then you know they're going to come back more than likely. And when they do return, this time they're on top of each other. So it's just really cool how the composition and the way the song moves structurally in here, kind of setting you up with certain things and then knocking them down at the end here. Let's take a gander at these lyrics, and all held up by a nice guitar, bass, and drum combo. Here I sit and play guitar, drink beer out in the country. Having narrowly escaped my trip into town, now it's Sunday. So here I sit and play my guitar, count stars out in the country. Having narrowly escaped my trip into town, now there's no one around. So it's a feeling of loneliness, a feeling of isolation. He narrowly escaped his trip into town, obviously telling us that he did not want to go into town for whatever reason that might be. And now he's just playing his guitar, drinking a little beer, looking at the stars, and having a nice time by himself. And it just repeats the lyrics actually from there. It's just the not lazy. Lazy isn't the word I want to use, but it's just kind of lackadaisical. That's a good word, lackadaisical. I think that's a great word to use here. Let's see. Someone or something characterized by a lack of enthusiasm, energy, or determination. He's just chilling. That's the best way to put it. He's just chilling. And every once in a while, you need a little time like that. Sometimes like when you make plans with people and like you really didn't want to make plans. You said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go out Sunday," and everyone says, "Okay, let's go out Sunday." And then Saturday night comes around, and Sunday morning, you're like, "I really don't want to go." This is that narrowly escaping my trip into town, and so now he's like, "Finally got a little more extra time to myself." It's Sunday, so maybe it's the day before going back to work. He's like, "I need just a few more hours, just some me time." Andreas, thank you so much for the request. Let me know what you guys thought, of course, down below in the comment section. I appreciate you all being here. Hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.